It's good to have us once again ready for today's session. We have quite a couple of events we are going to be running today. Um, this morning is supposed to be a leadership session along with life school graduation ceremony. If you were part of life school, can you hold your life school? Okay, wave your hands now. Why is everybody angry this morning? Are we not happy that Jesus is risen? Okay, okay. So we are going to be having um, the graduation session, but quickly this morning we'll move into the leadership session, and it's going to be a plenary session. What we want to talk about this morning is no, you can it. So I will not be pressing when we should be listening to mentorship. You can start. That sound can take us to prayer mode. We're not praying this. We are prayed. All right. So it's going to be a plenary session. I want us to a couple of things. If you maybe during the course of the session you have a question, you can just try to put it down and give it to probably the ushers. I'm not sure how we are going to. I'm not sure how we are going to hold it. Maybe will give us the permission to use the mics to ask our questions. But I want us to just make sure that we write down our questions. Very, very important. Let's write down our questions so that whether you are going to pass it or you are going to say it, it's going to be like very direct, very precise, and do it. Praise God. Praise God. I'm not calling our attention. Praise God. All right. Thank you very much. So, joining me on the platform this morning, can we celebrate Minister Dada Tolulope as he comes forward? You're welcome. Also, Minister Emmanuel Areo will be joining us very soon. But kindly help me welcome Mr. This one is not Minister, but Mr. Adewale Adeife. Thank you so much. All right. So, is that I need help? Someone that has more. Okay, it's not hard. All right, so good morning, everyone. Please take out your pens and jotters. We'll be learning a lot this morning. And like I said, the theme, the topic of today's plenary session is mentorship and service. The change your life needs, mentorship and service, the change that your life needs. But first of all, I want our guests this morning to introduce themselves. I know that Oluwole is a married man and he's also he's also a financial market analyst. You know, Adewale Adeife is also a senior cyber security expert and all of that. But I just want them to give like a personal introduction themselves. So whoever comes first.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I know Akure is very cold, unlike Lagos, but I want you guys to respond a lot. So my name is Adewale Adeife, and I'm a senior cybersecurity consultant at Ernst and Young, and I do security, right? Securing people, process, technology, and I'm not trying to be like confetti.
You can blow it.
Well, I mean, currently I lead the cybersecurity transformation at Flutterwave, and I'm doing so much more, and it's good to be here. Just like I wish Emmanuel was, sorry, I wish Pastor Emmanuel was here. There are a lot I need to say to him publicly, but more importantly, I think it's good to be here to discuss this particular subject because things like this are things that have changed my life and have taken me from the undergraduate boy that did not know what he was going to do with his life when he was still in Futa to where I am right now. So since Emmanuel is here, I'm just going to say what I want to say. This permits me. I feel like he said to me yesterday, that friendships have been like the biggest privilege of his life. I think for me, having quality friends too has been what has helped me to where I am. My younger brother would just tell me, Adeife, I need this. I say, how do you know I can solve? He said, you have the connection. And I think the connection has just been something that I've built over time. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Pastor Emmanuel is someone that changed my life. I remember in COVID, I don't even remember this conversation me, you, and Toby had in COVID when we were just home. And we were saying, how are we going to make it? That this cannot be life. We cannot just study electrical and electronics engineering. How are we going to make it? Then he said something profound. He said, Adeife, what you need in terms of value is something to exchange for money. Your focus should never be money. Your focus should be what do you have that can be in exchange for value. And he said, what you need to exchange for value at that point has to be skill. And it was a casual conversation. And one thing about me, I have really graphic memory. So any conversation I have with people that changed my life, it still plays in my head. And that was just what changed my life. Because after that, I knew that I graduated with a good grade in electrical and electronics engineering, but I did not have any skill. So at that point, I said, no, I needed to get skill. And since then, my life has changed. So as we continue to talk further in the panel session, I want you guys to just listen, right? Beyond just listening, also grab what you need to make your life better. Because like Tunde Oyokaya would say, you can do small things, you can do great things from a small place, right? And I think that should be our focus. Whether it's in ministry, whether it's in career, you can do big things from a small place. You don't necessarily need to be in Lagos or need to be in or you need to Japan. Trust me, you can do big things from a small place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you can clap. So my second speaker. Can you introduce yourself, Dada?
Right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's good to be here again. My name is Tolulope Dada. Like Oluwole said, I'm a financial market analyst, and let's say this. Okay, I also run a small business that has to do with not manufacturing now, but the distribution of pure honey. So for adults, young folks, people who are into all kinds of productions of creams and all that. So that's also what I supply. So that is who I am. Oh, okay, they also mentioned I'm a man of one wife. So
One wife.
Stop it.
All right, so can we kindly welcome our third speaker? He's the pastor of Build Network Global. Kindly welcome Pastor Areo Emmanuel to join us on stage. You can keep clapping. Well, good morning, sir. How was the journey down here? It was long. Okay. I know we all know you, but can you just introduce yourself?
I'm Emmanuel Areo. I'm the lead pastor of Build of the Most Amazing and Stubborn People. Big, yeah, one of them. And AI data quality. It's faith-based. That's all.
Right. Thank you very much. So, like Adeife said at the beginning, conversations, the quantum leap your life needs can just be in the midst of a conversation. Sometimes, closed door conversations are the places where the real information is shared. Many times, it's not um, out there in the public. There, for reference purposes, let me use the scriptures as an example. There were things that Jesus would say to 5,000 that he won't say in the inner circle. So, like I said before, you can kindly take out your jotters because there's a lot you are going to be learning this morning. So, we want to start on the subject of mentorship. Mentorship. We all know that mentorship is one very mentorship. You can grow by yourself. You can rise through the ranks, follow every protocol of education and all of that. But um there's this quantum leap that mentorship gives you, a edge that you have over everybody because you're able to sit down on the shoulders of some that have gone ahead of you to be able to leverage on it. So I want us to, starting from you, Adeife, I want you to you know, give us your idea on what you think mentorship is, because mentorship for mentorship has become a word that I'm not necessarily sure we understand the implications of it. Both maybe as we go on, I'll also share some of the things I think on the two sides, both on the part of the mentor and the mentee. So for us to have clear-cut perspective this morning, I want you to give us what your idea on mentorship is and examples from yourself, your life. You know, at least I knew you back then when you were in school. I knew that you were part of the debate club and all of that. Platforms that were able to, take you up there. So I want you to give your background knowledge on mentorship and from your life examples, things that you have been able to.
So thank you so much. I, what I would always say is we are not meant to do life in our own efforts. And this is both like spiritually and naturally, right? One thing I wish I had was an Adeife that was in my front. And I think my siblings are very lucky to have me because beyond the fact that they are not going to waste time on certain things, I know how well to shape in them, know what to do next in their life, right? I would say like my parents tried. They gave me the very first point of connection in terms of them being top youth pastors in Deeper Life. Do you get so the new people, right? But then I had to take it a step further. My parents were not going to network for me. They would just show you that I know this person, I know this person. I had to take it a step further. What am I saying? Why I wish I had an Adeife in front of me? There are certain things that when you lose time, it will only take supernatural or spiritual speed to get to that time you have lost back. For instance, I think I started my cybersecurity career late, right? Because I was at Hugo, I was like 2-3 years. I started late, but it took me 2 years and probably 2 months to become a senior cybersecurity consultant, something that will naturally take 4 years. So now I'm in a place where I'll most likely become a manager before I'm 30, by the age of 28 or thereabout. That was supernatural speed, not by my efforts. Because when I believe on LinkedIn this year, I went from like 1,000 followers to currently I have almost 13,000 followers on LinkedIn just sharing about cybersecurity. And people went to my DM and said, Adeife, I want to mentor you. Now, come on, mentor me, come on, mentor me, come on, mentor me. I think you're doing so well. You have worked at Deloitte, now you are working at Ernst & Young. Come on, mentor me. Why I understand the excitement to want to allow someone mentor you, I honestly do not grab why you walk up to someone that you have not had a period relationship with and you just directly ask for mentorship. I believe in mirroring. Let me explain mirroring. It's a term I just coined, I think, last year, because that was how I got really good at what I do in cybersecurity. So, and the reason why you need to learn about mentorship is not just because of it's something you're going to need with the rest of your life. Right. So when I resume at Deloitte, if you work in a company and that's why I pray for every young person to experience working in a good organization. Because when people want to play, this analogy has also been in my head. When you see people that want to play in Chelsea Academy, Real Madrid Academy, all of those academies, the reason why they want to play there is not necessarily because that academy will give them automatic qualification to the first team, but because they have the leadership structure, they have the facilities to train you up from ground zero to where you want to be. And even if you are going to fail, the highest you will fail to will be a Nottingham Forest. Or that, like, do you get, like, you're not even going to fail from the top to Eimba. Like, do you get, like, you're going to fail from there to somewhere where you are still going to be valued at that Chelsea Academy product. Do you understand? And so, right from when I was in 400 level, I don't know if Emmanuel or Toby will remember, I always said I want to work at the Big Four. I always said I wanted to work at the Big Four. In fact, I wanted to work at PwC or EY. And for me, and this one first part of mentorship I'm going to explain, how you can watch someone from afar and allow the person mentor you by just watching the person's life. And one thing that God has always done for me is, at every point in my life when He wanted me to move to a new level, He always just brought someone by my side that I could just watch and I did not need to meet the person. For instance, recently, I wanted to grow more in the place of prayer. And in terms of, when I mean place of prayer, in terms of quality prayer time, in terms of more time in the place of prayer. And I was just on Instagram and I saw, I don't know if you might know Pastor Jim Aladdin from Prayer Storm, UK. I just saw him saying, some of you might need to pray some more. You have been doing 1 hour, you might need to stretch it some more. I just opened on the prayer and said, you need to go to our YouTube channel and you see some prayer clips of people praying for long. That was all I needed. And for like a month, I've been listening to Prayer Storm and their prayer stretch. These are people that are in a country that is well developed. They are in a country where most of them have UK passports, but there's a burden for intercession. And now I can say he's mentoring me, but he doesn't know me. Like, if you know me, like, I am not. Some of you might need to unsubscribe from Netflix or all of those things. Like, if you know me, the app I use most, apart from maybe Twitter, because of I lead CCI Global's Twitter team, is I use YouTube a lot. I am on YouTube. Listen to Jema, and I still have my work. But he's mentoring me in the place of prayer. And I know in the next 2-3 years, my prayer life is going to be at a different level. So the first thing you need to know about mentorship is that you don't necessarily need to meet someone for him to mentor you or for her to mentor you. You can there's a way you can mirror them. And the reason why I love mirroring a lot is, at work in Deloitte, you have a lot of superstars in the team. Because when 15,000 people apply and you only pick 10, That means some of you are good. And so at that point, you are also working with people ahead of you that are seniors, that are also really great. So at that point, if you want to know what I know, you are not supposed to meet me and say, come and teach me. You are supposed to know what I know by watching me do it over time, over time, over time. If you watch me do it 10 times, then you can do it first time. And when you make mistake, you can now meet me and say, oh, I made mistake in this place. Up to today, I boast that I am one of the, I can do risk assessment. Risk assessment is something in cybersecurity. I can do it better than anybody. How did I know it? By just watching 2 people do it consecutively over 3 projects. And by the 4th project, I was the one leading it. So mentoring is not just about saying, just enter someone's DM, please come and mentor me. The reason why you should stop entering people's DM because there are 1,000,001 people in their DMs. And so, if there are 1,000,001 people in their DM, you don't want to be the 1,000,001 next person that is here. If I show you my LinkedIn DM, I have over 50 people. At first, I was setting up calls this year. Oh, book a time to talk to me about cybersecurity. But I noticed that I didn't even have enough time again. I have CCI Global. I'm leading the Twitter team. I have Apostle Emmanuel Areo's prayer team that I am leading. I have cybersecurity at Deloitte that I'm doing. Actually, at EY that I'm doing. I also have select teams in CCI that I am a teenage instructor there. There's so much I am doing. So at that point, I don't have enough time to mentor people. So why not just watch me? I write articles almost every week. I do these things, read them. I'll talk about service later, but I think the first point to know about mentoring is that do not always look for the close approach. Always watch from afar. That's the very first place. Because by the time you meet that person, you will have known so much about the person that you can have range of conversations. And I think that's just the first point of mentoring.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, you can clap. I think it was Pastor Lorenzo that I listened to say this, that you don't approach someone to mentor you who you've not consumed almost all of his materials. Because many times the things you want to ask them about or of is in one material somewhere, somehow, that if you had consumed it, the information that you'll be asking as at this time will even be deeper. Maybe he can now bring out something new from himself. But many times they always have to tell you to go and read one thing here, consult this here, and it's because, there are many materials out there. So, like you said, and I want to drive this to Oluwole. What do you think? Like Adeife rightly said, it's before you move close, watch people from afar, consume their materials and all of that. But what do you think are the things one should look out for in a mentor before that approach? I know you are someone that has enjoyed close mentorship and mentorship from afar off. Because we are friends, I know the people that you listen to consistently, continually, and it's like, you share the same ideas. While we were even preparing for this, we were like, I want to test something about me because I've been listening to so and so person. That's backstage gist, right? But I also know of, closed mentorship that you have also benefited. So from those two lenses, what do you think are the things one needs to look out for before choosing a mentor relationship?
Thank you, Oluwole. Thank you, Adeife. That was really profound. Even me, I'm learning from what he's saying. All right, so let me start by saying this. I think everybody serves something, whether you like it or not. Consciously or unconsciously, you are serving something. You are being mentored by something, and so you are mentoring something. You may not realize it yet, but sooner or later, you will figure out that you are mentoring something, or you are mentoring someone, and you are being mentored by something, you are being mentored by someone. And I like to say it from the side of service because I like service a lot. That's changed my life profoundly. This is where I will begin. I would begin by saying that in service, we would realize that the people who have been really influential and most successful in the course of time have had very close mentorship opportunities with other very important and successful people. and that is like something that flashes through time. I think it was Balopedia that was saying that almost 90% of people in the current American government have served in a previous government before. So it means that many of the people that you currently see in government now did not arrive there today. They've been there serving somebody, working for somebody, carrying paper for somebody. And then a time comes, you hear things like, I'm nominating this person because you are in my close circle, right? So it's like, so let's say you have a work that you do, and then while you are growing the work, while you were doing whatever you were doing, you found out that there were people that were supporting you along the way. And at that moment, they didn't have money, right? But now, maybe you are a little bit grown, you can now begin to pay people's salary. And you find out that they have certain kinds of skill. They've been rooting for you even before the business started. Do you think they are good people to put on your team? Please answer me. Yes.
Yes.
You know why? Somewhere along the line, it didn't look like they were mentoring you to be good, but there was a little bit of support, and that's what people call peer mentorship. Like two of my friends have said, I really have enjoyed friends. I don't have a lot of them. I really hope to have a lot of them growing further, right? But currently, I don't have a lot of them. But the ones I have are really, really solid people, ladies and guys I like. But when Oluwole asked the question, he asked about what are the things you should look out for. Like Adeife said, and I really, really subscribe to that, you really don't have to be in people's faces to be able to ask them for mentorship opportunity. But in your outlook for that opportunity, I think one of the first things you should really look out for is the things that resonate with you. Now, I will say this on two ends because it's a very tricky thing. Because many times, the first point of attraction you have to somebody that should mentor you is what you have, similar to what that person has, right? The second thing is what you do not have that person has that you want, right? The third thing, which is really the hardest part that many of us don't realize, is what that person has that you do not have and you do not even know you need. Please write those three things down. Yesterday, after prayers here, after we had that amazing session with Pastor preaching, I had to go back to my mentor's place. We have a studio around here, around 10 p.m. in the evening. So while I was done, I finished from there around 11 p.m., drove back to my house, got home around 11:30. So I was speaking with my wife on the call, and she's like, "Oh, I feel like you changed during that while you were delivering that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel like he has that effect on me, and the effect is that there is a part of him that with close mentorship I've been able to, it seeps into me in such a way that when I'm ministering or when I'm talking for him, there is very high probability that I can tap into the things I've learned from him to speak for him." Do you understand what I'm saying? So, for example, now let's say you want to go and speak on behalf of somebody. Maybe this person is a public speaker, and then you learn to, maybe you're an MC, you are a public speaker, you are a career person who is speaking at an event, and then somebody tells you to go and speak on their behalf. Now, the first thing you have to realize is that the person who asked you to speak on their behalf was the person that was invited. Am I right? You were not the one invited. And there was something that those people saw before they wanted to invite him. So when they are looking out for what they want during that event, they may not be looking out for what is peculiar about you many times. They are looking for him. Are you getting what I'm saying? So if you get what I'm saying, it means that they are looking for him. And so there has to be a tiny aspect of what you are delivering that has something to do with him. So you can't just come into that kind of setup speaking and not learning from what this person normally says. So you must learn his outlook of delivery. You must learn his outlook of how he does things. And so when you're looking out for something that you need to be mentored in or you need to be mentored by, you must realize that with service, by paying attention to the things that the person wants done. Now, this is very important. Powerful people, influential people also have needs. Please write that down. Powerful people, influential people, successful people also have needs. There are certain things that, as powerful as they are, the president of Nigeria needs something. right? And if you realize that, you means that you have an opportunity to get close to anybody. Anybody. I mean, anybody, as long as you know what they need. And that's where I'll drop the mic for now. Thank you very much.
Just to add to what you said about influential people having it. When people see me and say, "Oh, Adeife, how you see that you have Apostle Emmanuel Areo's number on speed dial? How is that you know this person, you know this person?" Most of the time, how I have drawn so close to anybody I needed to be close to was just service, right? I remember how the church in Akure started. I had no business coming to Akure. I was already working in Lagos, but I knew that I was coming to Akure, and I came to Akure for the JCCF program thing. And even before then, he was already following me on social media platform. I already had his number. He talked to me at that point, right? But more importantly was he just texted him and said, "Oh, Adeife, I think we can start now using this other place." When the church was about to start, I also came again, right? And bit by bit, even currently, I still do things for church that require me to be in close contact with him. To the point where when people want to see pastor in church, for instance, people will have to go through protocol. And this. When I just call the head of protocol, I want to see Apostle. Is he free now? And I walk into his office. So the biggest why I'll be able to have that close rapport where I can easily just either send him a text or send him is the idea of service, right? And yes, you might be serving and they might not have noticed you, but over time, like there's a way you will just be noticed. You get so never lose out on serving people. You would always win at the end.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you also, Oluwole, for the things you said. One of the key take homes for me from what you have said is the fact that mentorship. Okay, sorry, I'm not using my mic well. Okay, thank you. It is the fact that on the two aspects, they both have been able to enjoy mentorship on two faces. That's from afar off and closed door. Mind you, when Adeife was speaking initially, he talked a lot more about knowing what you need to get from people out there. But you also, when you heard him speak last, he talked about how he had access to Apostle Emmanuel Areo on, a close relationship basis. So I think it's very important for us to also take them, because people will argue, and we may say it's the ancient landmark, but we also know that technology has evolved over time. Before, you needed to have people really close to you to be able to enjoy privileged information. But with the help of technology, also things have evolved over the years. Like the scripture says, in the last days, knowledge will increase. And because knowledge has increased, we have more access to information, more access to, relationships and all of that. You can be on people's Instagram, closed door Instagram meetings. I think YouTube also has that kind of platform where they are just, there are close circle relationships that one can have online. So, Pastor Emmanuel, I want to ask a question that is like flipping the script. So, what I asked Tolulope is, what do you look out for in a mentor before you approach him? Now, I want to ask, because Adeife made a very important statement while he was opening the platform, the fact that all of us are, whether we like it or not, we are in this setting already. We are being mentors, and we are learning from people, and people are learning from us. He said he wished that he had an Adeife at his front that he could look up to. And it also simply means that he has siblings to mentor. We are in those kinds of relationships. If you are no longer in 100 level, you are in 300 level, there are people that will look up to you in the little communities that you find yourself. So, as a mentor, I want to ask, on the side of being a mentor, what do you think are the things that, you need to fix in yourself to become a perfect model for people to emulate, to follow? So what do you think do you think are the ingredients of making a good mentor?
From a mentor's perspective,
Yes, from your first person.
I think one of the biggest issues, especially in Africa, that mentors have would be esteem issues. Bovi was speaking at this time here. He was emphasizing how Africa suffers from shame, and we hide under shame to do different things. And especially when it comes to, because in Africa we put a lot of we see honor as something very major, right? But from so Bogi was explaining how that because of that, many elderly people, many mentors have overstretched that privilege, right? And actually, it's not because they are demanding honor; it's a shame issue, which is a function of an esteem issue. I'm not a big fan of esteem, right? I'm not a big fan of the word self-esteem. Anybody that listens to me for a while will know that I don't believe in that word as much. I think it's a major character issue. And as Africans, it's something that we must learn, that as we are growing up, we must deal with it. So many of us here know that we are reading courses we are reading it for our parents. Many of us here know that we are living our parents' life right now.
That's a secret.
Yeah, we will live our life maybe in the next 10 years. But for now, it's still our parents' lives that we're living. Some of us said our marriage, we will marry for our parents. They will be the ones doing the marriage while we will be the actors. And the major reason is just because I had that conversation with people's parents, because I train a lot of young people. These are young people here. It's a lot of stress sometimes when somebody has a dream, somebody has something, and I can understand the fact that you want to put someone in the right place. But it's a different thing when you start saying you can't do it. Why? Nothing. You just can't do it. That's a problem. Somebody is about to take the next 5, 7, 10 years of his life without an explanation as to why. The only person that can say that is God. The only person that has the right to say, move, I don't have an explanation to give you, you find it out on the road with God. And so mentors start to play God in people's lives. And I think it's a shame issue. So it's why you trample on people. It's why they must talk like you. You see, you can imbibe ideologies and still not sound alike. Right? So I think it's something that as Africans we must deal with before we get there, unless the country will not be better. We know that the country will not be better if we get into power. Because we have suffered, we want to do the same thing. This is my time to shine. This is my stage. SUG, we know that it's the SUG leaders that will most probably be our politicians later. With the SUG leaders we have on the campus now, will Nigeria be better? No. And funny enough, I'm the kind of person that will talk any SUG leader that wants to hug transformer, many transformer space back. But what I mean is we need to deal with a very deep character issue. And that character issue is one of the reasons why mentees run away from mentors. Many people have been wounded because of mentorship. We overstretch the privilege. I minister many times. And, one of the places that I always don't like being sometimes is around ministers, especially when you're preparing for administration. You travel somewhere, they lodge you guys in one. It's normal that they will take you guys inside one inner room so that you people can sit down and discuss. And that's almost the worst place for me to be most times. There was a time I was in a place like that, and the young pastor, that guy was still a student. The young pastor was saying he didn't have transport to travel down here. He just called one of his mentees and said, "Send me that money now." And to him, he was trying to make a point that he has people. But I was just there thinking, just imagine I was the person now that was the mentee that had to send me money, and I'm drinking Gary and you're using it as pride in this place. It's weird. So I think that's one of the major things. Even though human beings are human beings, when you're mentoring young people, there are things that. So there's this young guy. I just knew that this story will come up like this. But there's this young guy that met me. It's normal that after administration, when I go to speak somewhere, a lot of people will come and meet me. I want to take pictures. What's your Instagram handle? Even though I don't really use Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? What's your WhatsApp number? I need you to mentor me, sir. My life needs direction and everything right now. And most times my answer is always meet me in church, because it is hilarious to think that I'll have time to plan the messages. Like, it's laughable to actually think that I'll have time doing that. So this guy will say meet me in church, he won't turn up. Then he will probably meet me somewhere again, and I'll say my answer is still the same, meet me in church. After doing that for months, one day he entered my DM and said, good morning, sir. I said, good morning, sir. Because I was thinking, let's see if you have sense or not. Then the next message that he sent is, I have a question about salvation. I meet your pastor or your Sunday school teacher, because I don't have any explanation to give you. I think that's what's the word to call it? That entitlement, that I have access to your time. You will reply me. So I will record a voice note now to give you an explanation on salvation. Why didn't you come for conference? I thought yesterday, right? So even though that happens, and as a mentor, you still have to be able to secure your space. I think mentors still need to have that side where people have to, like Chris Delvan told Pastor Chinto some time ago. He said, thank you, because it's not everything that I told you to do that you did.
Yeah.
That was good. Because it meant that if all that I said you should do was what you did, you wouldn't have turned out like this. You would have turned out like something in my mind, but the world would not have accepted you, because it was not you. Like my thought, you always say, God blesses who you are, not who you pretend to be. Right? So mentors must allow people to have their originality while still imbibing their ideologies. I think for mentorship, what you are looking for is, I'm following an ideology, not a person, as it were.
Yeah.
There's a body of knowledge that I see that you have that intrigues me, that is what I need and is what I'm following. So you must keep pushing that ideology to them while keeping their originality. I don't want people to lose themselves just because they have to be mentored. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you so much. That was so insightful. If you feel the need to clap, you can clap, but just also ensure, like you said, that you are writing. And also, if you have questions, make sure to pen them down, so that whether you are going to have the mic to read them out, or you are going to send it through the ushers, it's going to be.
Hey, Wale, I need to add something on shame.
Okay.
Pastor Laju always say that influence belongs to the bold. And the reason why is, for someone like me that I've been, even when I was in school, 300 level, 200 level, I've been debating about sexuality and all of those things. I've known things that people are just knowing about LGBTQ. I've known it since 100 level, 200 level. Immediately I joined the debate team, because the debate can put you at the side where you have to support them. And the idea is, the reason why those people are as influential as they are, and their influence is going to grow, like, they're never, no matter how much you pray about it, I don't think their influence is going to stop. So what would actually happen is that the same way God will say, we're strengthening you when you're going to talk to them, our own defense against them must be strengthened and heightened above them. But their own influence and fame is going to keep on growing, because we are living in a world where people are gradually, not even gradually, are tilting more towards self-actualization, self. And what they teach them and why their mentorship, their mentorship and what they do as a community is really strong, is because they have lost the art of shame. You can ask them, what is the meaning of a woman? They will start to stammer. You can ask them, define what it means to be a woman. And when this man was losing the election, they say, vote for a woman, vote for a woman. What is the meaning of a woman? They don't know. But they have lost the art of shame. I saw a guy that was quite close to me, and I saw him. He moved to London recently, but he has always had those NSC. And I saw what he wore for one of their drag events that they did. And I was questioning if this was the smart boy that graduated first class from Cornell University. And Fernand has lost the art of shame. He doesn't have shame. And so the day I lost my own act of shame, and that's why there's nobody in this world I cannot walk to and talk to, was the day in GS1. My mother bought me, they told people that black shoes is what they are supposed to buy for us in school. My mother bought me one nice brown Timberland and forced me to wear it to school. And because I was still pretty much short then, I was in front early assembly, and they were catching people that were coming, that were when, and you know how the way secondary schools are, the prefects and all of this, we used to shout them. They now said, they just brought people out, but they did not call anybody that it's me that was wearing a shiny brown Timberland in front. I was a very shy child then. They brought me in front and said, this is the example of what they say. Someone that is, the woman disgraced me in front. And our school were like over 1,200. So imagine over 1,200 people looking at you on the assembly hall. And you still carry that shame walking around school. I lost the art of shame. And ever since then, I am not too ashamed to ask for help. I am not too ashamed to tell you I need this. I'm not the highest that you will tell me is a no. And that's what has helped me even little things like a fundraiser I'm doing now for church. When I meet you and say support, I'm not asking you because I need help, because I booked my own accommodation for the camp meeting like 3 months ago. I'm asking you because I want to help more people. And so I have lost the art of shame in begging. And so most people, and the reason why I notice this is, I would say I'm not a business person. People that are close to me know I'm not a business person. But as I gradually grew into consulting and even tech, where the money is into the business of tech, not even in actual coding or whatever you guys are doing. And the people that make the best decision and make the biggest money are people who have lost the art of shame and know how to beg, say, believe in my idea, I need this, and you too, you drop 100 million. People, and so even in terms of mentor and mentee relationship, you must lose the art of shame. Your mentor must be able to correct you and say, what you're doing does not make any sense. I mean, it's supposed to be kind. But even if it's not kind, you must be able to receive it and accept it with shame. Because the truth is that people move on from shame. So when they have shamed you, the next day they are looking like do not center yourself as saying, because the person said I'm looking like this, the next day thinking about you, they have moved on with life. People move on quickly in this world. And so you must learn the lesson at that point from that shame of whatever happened. Because the next day they have moved on. And so we are in growing. And as a person, the very moment I lost the art of shame, even if I walk into your place and I went to left leg, I must get what I want before you, after you have been shaming me about the fact that I went to left leg. So as a person, you must grow to that point where you must understand that your self-esteem is not based on what other people think about you. Your self-esteem is what you believe about yourself. Regardless of their opinion about you, their opinions are just opinions and did not form what you are going to eventually become. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I think his response can just evolve into a lot more conversations, because one of the things we realize from many mentor-mentee relationships these days is many times I think that we are in a generation where our emotional tolerance level has just it has been affected. Any little thing, you are talking about your mental health. If I should ask us to raise up our hands, if you work with a boss that is what's the word? A narcissist, a toxic boss, I'm sure we'll have a couple of hands up there. Meanwhile, just like you said, if that person who turned up in his DM is later asked backstage, and maybe a question like, okay, how has been your mentor-mentee relationship with Pastor Areo Emmanuel? The person will probably say, he doesn't listen to me, he doesn't answer my questions, he doesn't do this and this. I think that people who want to be mentored should have a high tolerance level. And the reason why I'm saying high tolerance level is not because it's something that is supposed to be entirely new. It's just because our generation cannot take much. Our generation cannot take a loving rebuke, if we can use those words together. Me looking at you and telling you that this thing you are doing is only your brother and your mother that will watch this skit or do this thing. People don't want to. People want to hear, I love what it is that you do, I love the fact that you are growing so much. I love the work that you put. And that has a propensity to massage your ego when the actual feedback should actually be that, guy, you need to go and work on yourself very badly. So I personally think that we should on that part, actually we need to increase our tolerance level if we want to grow very fast, because the world is moving very fast. Growth these days has to be very, very fast. If you want to be very serious with your life, you need to take drastic decisions. You need to be able to receive corrections, just like you said. So, Tolulope, I guess you are the one that will be in the spotlight right now. I want you to share a bit of what your experiences have been so far through your mentorship journey on both sides. When you were being mentored and the people you have mentored, what has the experiences been like? What has been major highlights, major take homes? Probably someone, can learn from things they can relate to, maybe something that they're experiencing that you have also experienced. So
thank you, Oluwole. Quick question though, I'd just like to take a small survey. Yes. If you were really interested in leaving home for university because you didn't like the pressure that your parents were giving you, please raise your hands quickly. Quickly. All right. If you know that now, knowing what you now know, you want to go back home. And listen, when I'm saying knowing what you now know, I presume that you are either in maybe 400 level, 500 level, or you are a graduate. You now know what it means to be an adult. Now I'm married, right? Now I lead a family. Now I understand what my father was saying when he was saying what he was saying. I didn't understand before. I need to be honest right now, all right? But now I know what it means for your father to wake up in the morning and is expecting you to at least do your bit by sweeping the floor in the morning. But then you did not sweep the floor and you expect yourself to be in the car and go to school with him. I understand what it now means. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I think that from experience, I said it in the beginning that we are always in a cycle of mentorship. There is somebody you're always mentoring, there's somebody that is always mentoring you. You may not know, you may not be conscious, but that activity is always going on. And this is why when Wale asked me about the experience, I could, with a snap of my finger, imagine the different cycles of mentorship that I went through. I remember that the first time I went to a mechanic workshop to go and learn. So I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer, but I have this allergy with dust. And so because my father and my mother noticed that, they said I was not going to travel to Zaria, because Zaria was the only place where aeronautical engineering was being studied in Nigeria as at then. Because they knew, one, Zaria was cold. Two, they can be very dusty on certain times. So they said, you will not go. You go and do something else. What will you do? I said, what is close to that? I said, mechanical engineering. I said, okay, I can do that. I can still pivot later to aeronautical engineering. So my father took me to a mechanics workshop. I felt like he was punishing me. What is this? But honestly, and then I now found out that, because I was using a very interesting, I think when we came in 100 level, they gave us this opportunity to buy an iPad, this small iPad. You remember? Yes, a tablet. So I had a tablet then. But the boss I was working with as a mechanic did not have a tablet. So I had very interesting games on my tablet. And my guy will collect my tablet, tell me to go and wash clothes. His mechanic clothes. I am a 100 level student as at this point. And it was my father that took me there, just so you know. So this one, I cannot go back to my father to go and tell him that daddy. do you understand what I'm saying? So this person will tell me to go and wash his clothes while he's playing games with my phone. And then when the phone dies, he'll tell me to go and plug it.
Interestingly, I know the boss.
Interestingly, he knows the person, right? Because 2 years down the line, I took it back to that place. And we went back there. But this time around, you realize that the relationship was different.
Yes.
I work when I want to work. I do what I want to do. It was even giving us money then to go back home, but it was out of sheer respect. Because now, I was in 300 level. we were doing COS, right?
Yes.
So I went back to that same place, but I didn't go back in the same capacity. I believe that if you continue that mentorship line, your growth will continue. And at a point, you will find out that your mentor will need something from you. You also need something from your mentor.
Yeah.
All right? flip on from that, I remember also that I went to MBC during my IT. I was with Man. So when I started at MBC, we were doing this. That was how I got interested in data. We're doing Excel, we're doing SAP, all these things. And I knew nothing. All I knew was that my mommy bought one computer in our house. Then you play plenty games on the computer. That was the experience I had with computer, and then a little bit of typing here and there. But then they will ask me, do you know how to input data and do this pivot table? I'm like, yeah. Why? The company always had 24/7 connection to the internet. My God, what is YouTube for? My God. I mean, in the twinkling of an eye. I mean, at a point, the whole team left for a conference. They left only me with 100+ drivers and the whole company in NYC. I worked with the fleet department. I mean, the white boss even had to know my name. Tolu, is that your name? I said, yes, sir, it's Tolu. So he said, the guys are not around right now. Can you handle this thing? So the whole team left me to handle all the instruments of whatever they were doing. 100+ cars, trucks. You know, when you see MBC trucks all across Nigeria, there is a place they are controlling it from. I was controlling it from that place all across Nigeria. Why? Mentorship. It started from, do you know how to do this thing? In 1 week, all of them gave me the passwords to their systems. In 1 week. In 1 week. Until now, I remember when I was leaving, my boss said, would you help us out with, coming back? I said, no, I can't come back. So he now told me, he said, please come back for a month. And I said, I can't come back for a month. He said, come back for 2 weeks. I said, I will come back. Why? He wanted me to come and interview the next intern. So I did not interview interns. I interviewed NYSC guys, people that were coming into. And when I was done, he paid me ×3 of my salary that the company was paying me from his personal pocket for 2 weeks. He paid me that with my transport to Lagos, because I came back to Akure, the city of heat. So you understand the perspective. And so I remember that now my boss left. He went to start a logistic company. And now, I remember telling him, I said, Oga, as I'm leaving, if I ever come back to NBC, I will not come back as a student. I will come back as a consultant. And I meant it. All right? So, and I've worked all across the line. I can't even talk about my current mentorship structure. Man, it's amazing. I mean, up till yesterday evening, I had to drive from here to go and attend to something that my mentor needed. And yesterday, on that call, it's like, if you want him to come back again, I need 10 people to type it in the chat box. More than 40 people typed in the chat box for me to come back again to come and do 1 hour session today. So I think that if you continue that cycle of mentorship, you will find out that there are people who can access your mentors, but they can access you. So for example, now, Pastor Emmanuel may not be so accessible. He already told you some of the things, for example. But you see some build workers around that Pastor Emmanuel has poured into. They also have the ability to be able to run some micro versions of what he can run because they have been mentored by him. So I believe strongly that in mentorship, there are people that you cannot afford normally by the capacity of your growth. But because you follow a mentor and they can't access your mentor, they will follow you. I have married people in my DM, married people. And when I'm saying married people, I mean people that if their husband stand in front of you, you want to run away. So, and that is because I was mentored by a pastor. I was mentored in business. Now, also, I was doing like a survey yesterday, just thinking about this program. I realized that my mentor's mentor has certain aspects of businesses he's invested into: real estate, healthcare, agriculture. My pastor is also into that area, but minus healthcare. I am also in that area, minus healthcare. And this was not planned. This has nothing to do with, sir, can I share out of the things you have in your book? No. This is just me, by virtue of my mentorship. I also see also that some of the people around me too are also walking along those lines. And this does not mean that only those people can walk up to you. No. Now, for example, you will hear of stories of people like Pastor Emmanuel was talking about Pythagoras yesterday. If you were around for service, if you are not around, go and listen to that session. Very powerful. Pythagoras mentored somebody like Plato. You know, Socrates mentored somebody like Plato. How many of us know Plato? You've heard of Plato, you've heard of Pythagoras theorem, you've heard of Socrates. How many of us know Sigmund Freud? Sigmund Freud is one of the very big neurologists ever. You know, his mentor too was a very, very powerful person. Okay, so if you don't know, how many of us know Jordan Peterson? Now, if you're a man, they will call you a narcissist for following Jordan Peterson. But just so you know. So if you know Jordan Peterson, you will find out that he is also somebody that has been mentored by people like Carl Jung's books, people like Sigmund Freud, people like that. And the reason is because by virtue of the kind of effect those people had on their generation, you see he has a similar effect right now. He's one of the most influential psychologists in today's world. All right? And for that reason, the same effect they had is having, even though they are not in the same field. Are you getting what I'm saying? So it doesn't have to be about, being in the same field or not being in the same field. I think that you must be very intentional about who you are, first of all, before you find out who can do what you want to do. And secondly and finally, I would also say that in your journey to finding a mentor, honestly, I know that you may think you know who you are right now, but you may not really have the full picture. That's the truth. Many of us don't even know our capacities. I mean, there was a time I never knew I could do not let me go okay now. There was a time I did not know I could do some certain kinds of activities, not sleeping three nights on a row because of work. I didn't know that was possible. If you know me, if you know my father, they used to beg me to wake up to read when I was at home. But when I met my mentor, my God, 3 a.m. is already awake, and I have to put on the gen for him when he's awake by 3 a.m. So I have to wake up by 2:30 to fuel the gen. Sometimes 5 a.m. I'm already on the way to Glowfest to go and find fuel. 5 a.m. So now you wake up 3 a.m. you call me, I'm awake. You wake up 5 a.m. you call me, I'm awake. So interestingly, my ringtone is now sometimes it's alarm, sometimes it's not even alarm. So if you naturally call me, I have a very, very short time of waking up. Why? Because I was mentored by somebody like that. So I think that if we subject ourselves to those kinds of processes, we may not know who we are right now, but ultimately we will find out who we are supposed to be somewhere along the line. Right.
But that's
I wanted to mention,
can we make it?
this part of the question. I hope not.
All right.
Okay, so
Please, if you have questions, you can begin to pen them down.
They've mentioned two areas of this mentorship: meeting someone physically, and also that mentorship that is far away. I have enjoyed more of that mentorship that is far away, and I think many people do not sack that kind of thing as much as possible. It pisses me off when I go to speak to people and somebody comes to say, because I've just used it already, sir, what you just did today, I've never heard anybody speak like this in my life.
Okay, sorry. Let me put this so that you can answer the question also. You can just hold your thought process. So I wanted to also ask you, although I still have one more for Adeife also. You meet a lot of young people. The average young person's life right now is busy. If I pick anybody on the average and you ask them, will you be free by 12? They can tell you 1001. So just for the sake of those of us that will be willing to make good decisions after this place, and we are also very busy and all of that. What do you think that? How do you think we can manage all of that? A young person that is very busy but now wants to change his life. He wants to serve. He wants to do a lot of things. I know you personally as someone who is, it's like even if storms are falling all around, Pastor Emmanuel will just be like this. He has a knack for priority. It's one of the things I appreciate very much about him. Me, I can be very, let's do this. Once I see that he's just sitting, I already know that, okay, that thing has kicked in again. So how do you, okay, some people can relate. Okay, good. So how do you advise people to be able to merge all of that? But please, you can continue from.
Yeah, so I said it pisses me off when I go to talk to young people and young people are gassing up. to say that they want to meet you, they want, and you and Toby so have put me in trouble in that regard. Sometimes if I post you guys picture just for jokes or something, somebody will be like, "That's Oluwatobi, Jesus. I've always wanted to meet him. Do you know him?" And I'm like, "Please, Toby."
Don't worry, the slap for head.
I think the funny part was when somebody said, Adeife, that guy's an influencer. I was like, Adeife. But yeah, so they are trying to say, I just want to meet him, I just want to talk to him. And I figure out that when they come to meet you, they probably don't even know why they wanted to meet you. What they wanted was actually proximity. It's not like they wanted to learn anything. That's what I figured. They just want to know you.
In your circle.
Yeah, you'll be
in your
shocked.
circle.
Somebody can call you and you pick the call. Hello, sir. Hello. How are you doing? Fine. Who is on the line? I just wanted to greet
So if you're in that WhatsApp group,
who is on, like, can you explain? Then you will now figure out that it's possible that they are just trying to tell somebody, I have a number, let me call him now, right? I think what people want is just that proximity, and it's the reason why they don't expend learning from afar. A lot of things have changed in my life in the past few years because I just know people. I love AGS, and people have said that people will know that I listen to AGS a lot, but I've never met him before. I've thought in my mind that if I meet him, what will I say? I'll say thank you, sir. That, like, I don't have anything else to say because it changed my mind. I can tell you there was a time I exhausted every message you pushed on YouTube. It's hard to do that now because it's everywhere, right? But there was a time that there is no message that AGS has pushed that I have not finished. Admin was in the office with me one day. So I was singing one song. Then I just picked up my phone. I looked for the message, put it at the exact spot where AGS was singing that song. And he was like, how did you know that exact timeline? I said, I probably listened to that message like 1,000 times if I would not exaggerate, like at least 1,000 times. Because I figured out that there are two things. I said, number one, you follow ideology, and number two, you want to immerse yourself in the environment that person is in. I think because I listened to TD Jakes, and you might have doctrinal issues with any of these people, but TD Jakes, Stephen Furtick was saying something about TD Jakes' work ethic. And sometimes I want to simulate. That's the only way I can explain it. I want to simulate that man's life and put myself in it. I figure out that if you do that, you will grow so much that when you meet that person, you are not meeting as somebody that just wants to learn.
yeah,
When you are talking, the man is like, this guy is doing stuff. Let me find out who this guy is. Like, and it will intrigue him enough to want to even look for you and say, I need to draw this guy close. I think most people don't do that groundwork. So when they approach you, they are just like, I want to collect your number. Then after collecting, you will know that it was just that they needed the number or they needed the proximity. They have not done that groundwork enough to be able to set that tone for it.
I think sometimes they don't even know that that's what they are doing.
Yeah, yes, I agree, totally agree. So I would advise, because people ask me that question, I know this man in this field is a great person, how can I meet him? I don't have the answer. Like, funny enough, I'm not very good with meeting people. I'm the kind of person that if you say 100 people are coming, 10 people are coming, I would have a headache. And that has happened, which I would say, please get me paracetamol because I'm using it. Like, 10 people is too much. I'm not very good with hanging around people, so I don't know. I think I can network. I don't really know that thing. That my best way of networking, and I said it, I think somebody did a clip of my message where I said that the best way I know how to keep friends is to keep going. That's my idea. I didn't even travel down because I could do this. If I was holding the event, this guy is busy. He has things that he's doing. If I was holding the event under a tree somewhere, he wouldn't see the need to come down. Do you understand? Like, you want to simulate an environment that even everybody around you feels like you are doing something. You are doing something and want to be part of. So when you are communicating with them, you are not communicating as a learner. It turns from mentorship to like peer mentorship. So I want to say, as much as possible, I've learned a lot from afar. I've been to CCI once. It dragged me to take picture of Pastor Areo. Okay, twice. That first Sunday, then the second Sunday. I've been to CCI twice. Okay, then I went for the pastor's retreat. When I went for the pastor's retreat, my idea that day, I didn't even know it was going to be a full day. I thought it was just half day, by 12 we'll be done. When I saw the schedule that it was going to be like the whole day, I knew that okay, no eating for me. Get a bottle of water, you're here, you're fasting. I just wanted to sit in that environment. What is it about these people? What do you how do you simulate this kind of leadership? That young people are energetic, they want to do stuff, they are busy, these people are running things on their own, but they travel down, they want to just be part of it, they are invested in it. What is happening here? And people, there are people that met me, that know me, how are you? But that was not my focus. I think, funny enough, Femi Lazarus came in that day and he was sitting very close to me, sitting like a seat in front of me before they later moved into the front. And I saw people trying to get greeting. I didn't want to meet him. Honestly, didn't want to meet him. Just one thing was in my mind. What is it about this place? How can you simulate this kind of thing? And somebody will see that it is run by a young person, but they're like, how are you running what you are running? How old are you? That's what I want. So all that I was concerned about was not even falling down. All I was concerned about, I want to simulate this life and put myself into it. So maybe if you do that, if you follow the ideologies and you simulate the life that they live and you put yourself inside. When I mean simulate, I mean you watch and observe and observe. Jesus was saying that if you could look at the sky and know that rain is about to fall, like there are things that you can learn by observation. How come you cannot observe and discern? So this is where many young people, one thing I think young people need to do. You can observe. You can observe. You can observe his passion. You can observe his drive. You can observe how he runs. You can observe the quality that he must not drop below. And you just simulate it for yourself. I do that anytime I listen to Pastor Michael. People drag him, but anytime I just sit down and I listen to this energetic pastor, I'm just like, what does he do to these young people? That is, these are people that are smoking and drinking and he just pulls them into a church and they just want to be there. So maybe if we focus on doing those two, we would be able to meet the mentors that we want to meet and talk at a level where they are going to look at you and be like, I think I'm intrigued. Would say some people will send him audio and say, sir, listen to this clip I did. And will say, okay, if I listen to you, would you sound like John C. Maxwell or Jim Rohn? Or if you will sound like that, I don't want to listen to you. And when you hear that kind of thing, the next thing in your mind is, if I want to simulate this same thing in my life, I need to tone down on. Yes, I will learn from Kenneth Hagin, but I need to start learning I need to start reading journals. I need to start reading things that came out in 1984. Something that came out, quotes of Karl Marx in 1843. Things like that. Because you are seeing that that's the standard that this man has. And you simulate the same standard for yourself. So that's one of the ways that I've learned from afar. I watch this person and I just simulate the life that he lives into me. So the other question that you said,
there's a young person out there that is busy but wants to be mentored, whether from closed door or afar. What does he need to do to make that work?
Seeking mentorship is a choice. I can't lie to you. Seeking mentorship is a choice. If you want to be mentored, you have to choose to be mentored. I think that's my answer to that, because I know that young people are busy, but I know that this if
busy.
Just imagine that a door opened for me to learn from let me mention the name that we know in Nigeria here, Dangote, and I'm a business person and I am busy. How does that sound to you? Sounds funny. Pastor Mike Todd will always say that when he started the church, he saw a bank manager and he would drive hours twice a week. I think it's twice a week, every time to go and meet this person. Sit down for 1 hour, drive hours back. Because you see, if you want to be mentored, choose to be mentored. I think that's the part. Choose it. Choosing it is prioritizing it. It's like I want to build my relationship with God, but I'm too busy to pray. How do you want to do it? So what 5 keys do I want to give you? Discern, project. There's nothing to say. If you want to build a relationship with God, you can't be too busy to pray. I think maybe we don't.
True.
God gave us the power of choice. I think we need to start making use of that power of choice. We don't make use of it. We want it, but we don't choose it. So maybe if you choose to be mentored, you will know that if it tells you 8 to 10 every twice a week or 3 times a week.
Yeah, yes,
That 8 to 10 is fixed. If your girlfriend reaches out to you, your girlfriend should even be happy that you will tell her that there's a mentor I need to talk to by this time. Right? So yeah, it's a choice. I don't think there's any key to it.
Thank you very much. I think Adeife wants to contribute to this, but I also want to add to what you have to say. Meanwhile, if you have questions in the building, you can signify. Anyone with questions? Any questions so far? Okay. Mr. Ambody, I remember you. All right. What I wanted to pose to you, I know that you've been very high on service, and I just wanted to talk a bit. What has your service journey been like, and like what doors has it been able to open up to you? Because like we highlighted, if you choose to be mentored, you'll be in an environment. If you choose to, you said you don't ask people to mentor you. If you want to be effectively mentored, you have to also realize, like Tolulope said, that mentors also have needs, right? Mentors also have needs, and it's because of that needs that we serve. Do we understand? So, how has your service journey been, and what doors has service been able to open up onto you? Probably someone will learn from it, but you can also start from your contribution.
So, I don't think young people are less busy, are busy. Because when I look back at my time in Total, someone look at me and say, Adeife is busy. You go to DLCF 3 times a week. You still the debate team where you meet 3 times a week. And you're studying electrical electronics engineering in Total. But still, when I look back, I had a lot of time. When I go to school, the first time I left the house for the first time in my life, I said, you see, my parents know to allow me to watch ball. All the Chelsea match this season, I will not miss it. And truthfully, that first season, I did not miss one match. And even if I'm in church and just is playing, as I'm finishing from church, I'm going to the ball house. Because I just left school, to degree. I watched anything watchable. To the point that they stole my pre-degree notes in December. Pre-degree started like October. No, they stole my note. I did not replace it. I stopped, I was focused in destroying my life. Like, that's how focused I was. Because I had time. 100 level. I stopped watching football a little. But I still had enough time. So there was no surprise that I graduated 500 level and did not have any skill. Like, I was less busy doing nothing. So sometimes I beat myself up and I say, if I imagine I was learning cybersecurity on the side in 100 level, even if it was just introductory, imagine who I will have become right now. And there was one powerful sermon Apostle Emmanuel preached to the young teenagers at their own camp meeting this year, and I was lucky to be in front when he was teaching about it. He was talking about just basically about leadership. He said the biggest problem in Africa is that we start too late. So when our mates in China have been learning gymnastics from 2 years, you carry your child at 9 years old to go and and you will not go for Olympics. They will not beat him black and blue. Like, we start too late. And the problem is that, yes, we are hardworking in Africa, but we are hardworking in the wrong thing. So we put in a lot of effort into the wrong thing. And we also have this mentality that we are only local. And this year, I started thinking big. I said, I don't think I want to even play my career longer on like Nigerian phase. Like, I want to be global career talent. Like, I don't want to be on this level. And the reason why this is important is one thing that changed my life during that same period when we had that conversation about skill in COVID was I watched Beyonce's. If you see about setting Netflix, just go and watch Beyonce's Homecoming. Go and watch how she was pregnant, and yet she was still showing up for rehearsals every day. The work ethic of Kevin Hart. I watched this documentary. These people have crazy work ethic. They are the people that have the right to say they are busy because they are actually busy. They They are very busy. And one thing, you can never separate work ethic from success. You can never be successful without a work ethic. And that's why there's a difference between Lule Messi and someone in Nigeria. He has the talent, but also he has the work ethic. A serious work ethic. Like look at Ronaldo level. They always have work ethic. And so if you don't have a work ethic, you cannot even serve. And one thing I've noticed about success is you must have a crazy work ethic. The very moment I resumed to Deloitte, every freaking weekend I was always resuming there. Weekend on Saturday when my mate and I will sit down in the office and I'll be learning about APIs. Every weekend. Because you can never separate a work ethic from the person's success. I saw there was a day Apostle Emmanuel was preaching and he just quoted 2 Corinthians 4 verses, and God recommended the light to shine out of darkness, assuring our heart to give glory. I was so stunned. Not because it was like a 6-line text, but the way he quoted it verbatim, wasn't looking at the screen, was mastery. When Apostle Joshua Sema will say, he will quote something and he will quote NIV, quote this, I'll be like, how are you doing it? Work ethic. So, and the honest truth is that you must determine to be logged in. There's a new slang going out now where you say logged in. Where you must say, I want to learn this. And I'm going to stay at it. Like it takes a lot of mastery to know anything. And there must be a difference between you that know how to design and you just put something. And someone that will sit at it for 12 hours and come out to something perfect. And in service, one thing I've noticed about service for me is that I don't serve looking at what I want to gain now. I serve looking at the value I have to bring right now that will make me remain on your faces for life. When the day I started knowing that I was quite popular was when I walk into a camp meeting or I walk into a celebration church that is not my branch, and almost everybody there knows me. And they'll say, go back to your branch, go back to your branch, go back to your branch. Why? Because I have unlocked the act of staying in people's face, not by being an Insta blog, but by offering value. And in service, the day I was stunned was when in 2021 I was just walking out of a midweek service and Apostle Emmanuel was like, Adewale Adeife. I was like, not only do you know my name, you know my surname. I did not have to lobby. Now I'm talking about 2021. I did not have to lobby. I have never in my life lobbied to be known. And at everywhere I've gone to, whether at work, at anywhere, I have been known. Why? Because when you say who will be the course rep, even though I know I will cause trouble, I will raise up man. Ask him. I will the course rep and I cause more trouble. But I will raise up man. Why? Because I know that out of all of 100 people in the class, 99, 100 of us have opinions. But when they say you come and do it, they won't want to do it. But I'll raise up my hand and do it. So in service is the ability to say, oh, I want to do this. Here am I. Send me, even though I don't know where I'm going. Because the first step, most people that I think that are high achievers, when they're taking the first step, they don't know where they are going.
Yes.
But clarity always comes in the midst of motion. Clarity will never come when you are like, there's always a clarity to think about what you want to do. But the biggest form of clarity always comes when you are going through that path. And that's one thing I have learned in the process of service. And so to wrap it up, I'll tell people, see, you need to stay in people's faces. And that's one thing I am currently building with my cybersecurity career. I'm talking about it everywhere I go. The same way I talk about, there are three things I talk about. I talk about CCI wherever I go. I talk about cybersecurity wherever I go. I talk about my friends wherever I go. Those three things you will know. If you are following me on Instagram, you will know my housemates. You will know everybody around me. You will know I will always talk about them. Why? Because I want to remain relevant to the point where if CCI becomes a 1 million attending church today, if you mention 5 popular people in CCI, my name will be part of the people. Not because I am aiming to be popular, or maybe I will become a pastor, or I'm a pastor. But because you know that when it comes to anything CCI, Adeife has an idea about it. And what that will do for you is that when people are looking for people of value, or people of things, see, up to today, right now, beyond my regular job in cybersecurity at EY, I teach cybersecurity at a tech hub in Lagos. There are a lot of job offers. Even at the point, I was turning down job offers just at last week. Job offers that were paying me like times two of my salary where I was working before. I said I don't want the money. Why? Because I needed to even like rest. But more importantly, I've become a person of value where if you mention even to the point that people called me in US, they were coming from US, I need you to help me do this. I need you to do this. They said someone linked me up to you. You will not be the person that linked you up. But because you have become a person of value, you have not become someone that is resourceful. So you must think beyond Akure. Why you are still in Akure? You can travel from here and come and pay 1.5 million rent in Lagos and you don't have value. But someone can say, yeah, I'm paying whatever he's paying here. You're building his house, build a real estate something. Yeah. Why still offering value? The reason why Apostle Aromosai can pull everyone from wherever the world to Benue State is value. And whether you like it or not, in the next 10 years, the same way, I don't know, to wrap up, sorry. Remember when I was telling you that in the next 5 years, we will know the people that actually startups and not startups. I kept saying it. That all of them that I raised 20 million, I raised 50 million, I raised 100 million. Next 5 years, everybody will show workings. And it's pretty clear. The same way I'm saying it now, in the next 10 years, we'll see people who have invested themselves in the secret. We will know the result in the next 10 years. Because you might think, they are doing build here, they are doing things will show forth in the next 10 years. As at when, just to say this stats, when Celebration Church were doing our 10th year anniversary, Pastor Laju was saying, guys, how can we increase our number to 7,000? We are just 5,000. How can we increase our number to 7,000? 2 years later, we are currently over 20,000. Celebration Church, as at the 8th year anniversary of the church, not of the fellowship, of the church, we're not up to 1,000 members. 4 years later, they're over 20,000. So you must keep putting in the work, whether the praises are there, whether the numbers are there, whether the results are there. The numbers are not even the results. And that's why when I see some of you hoping to have $5,000 job that will pay you in dollars, say, sir, you'll be rich and you have money. It's good, but is that value? You can lose the job today. Remember when I was earning $2,500 per month in 2021, and I lost the job 1 week to the boot camp. I went, see, the tears were flowing, but I had to sit down with myself. I did not have value. I told you, I had money, but I did not have value. So you must get to that point where you are saying, what do you have? What can you do? If they strip you of everything you have now, strip you of your job, strip you of everything, because now there are barely places where you have job security. If you strip you of everything, what can you do? What value do you have? That must be the question that you are asking yourself every year, every time. What value do you have? Because the way the world is connected is, if I want to give you $1,000 today, it must be in exchange for something. I'm not giving you as charity. So the question that becomes in service. And the only truth is, service will grow your value. But you must also know that you must start with something. And so, going further, in summary, please tell yourself, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? What can I do in service right now that will put me where I want to be? Because the version that you are seeing now, there is more. I always keep telling myself there is more.
Hello, can you see hear me? All right, I want to say something what Adeife just said. Something popped up in my head. Yeah, very quick. I'll time myself. This is level 51. I'll be done by level 53. 2 minutes. All right. So and it's learn to know by doing. Learn to know by doing. And the reason why I would say that is this: he spoke a lot about service. But the interesting thing is that sometimes it's so we human beings are so interesting that we are even oblivious of what we can even do at the first instance. You don't even know how you can go there, right? Interestingly, uh, I'm hoping, I'm a preacher, right? And honestly, the kinds of preachers I've met in my short journey of ministry, I cannot have met them if not via service. There is no way. I've driven the biggest of the biggest people in this nation. Driving. Started driving secondary school. First time I drove, I hit my father's car on the wall. I broke the fence. But now we do it for Jesus. Amen? Mm-hmm. I've driven them up until last week. And I'm saying this because sometimes you don't know what you even want. You have no idea, but there is something you have. There is nobody that does not have anything. If you don't have anything, like Adeife said, you are not that busy, you have time. If you say you are very busy, you have school, my brother, I've gone to school too. My sister, I've gone to school too. So I believe strongly that if you don't have anything, there is something that you have that you can offer for where you are going. And the reason why I think that you will become that person is because the work ethics that Adeife was talking about is not something that comes on you. There's something that is called deep work. How many of us have heard the concept of deep work? If you try deep work for 1 week, you will almost faint at the first instance. Do you know what it means to sit down 12 hours without being compelled to stay there? And you are working, not you are reading for exam. You know, when you are reading for exam, there is a deadline. So you are hoping that you can finish it before tomorrow morning. But this time around, YouTube subscription is there. There is data on your phone. There are other things you can want to do. But because you are trying to improve the quality of your life, you are trying to serve yourself, you may not be that interested in doing it because it has long-term benefits. And short-term, you just want to do something fast. But the truth is that if you learn under somebody that keeps you in that seat, I mean, you remember those times, Oluwole, Emmanuel, you remember those times that we would do 12 hours meeting, 1 hour break. 12 hours stretch meeting, 1 hour break. So if you can do that with someone else, how can you not do it for your own life? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you have learned that work ethic by working under somebody who mentored you, it is easy to be able to apply it in every other area of your life. Now, I can plan 17 meetings from a spot. And the reason is because I know the basic things you need for every meeting. For every meeting you want to do in life, you need 7 basic things. You cannot begin to diversify those 7 basic things, but at the very basic moment, 7 things. And then you can begin to pick out the peculiarities of maybe it's a church meeting, it's a corporate meeting. There are 7 basic things. So the truth is, you learn to know by doing. And in doing, you really need somebody to teach you what you are doing. Because most times you say don't know what you are doing. For example, you want to go on YouTube to go and learn. Who do you know is the best teacher on YouTube? I know you are like, oh, if I search well enough, you find out. But you have wasted a lot of time. Talk to somebody who has been there, right? Somebody learns via that. Adeife learned cybersecurity via. So if he tells you that these are the 2 people you can listen to, he has experience along those lines. If pastor tells you these are the preachers you should listen to, he has. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you learn to know by doing, you will do yourself a world of good. That's what I will add on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So, our questions ready? You have a question, write it down. Sorry, that will be the last. Just write it down. The ushers will come and get it. So, can we try to hasten it so that the questions get in? And I will just,
All right, so interestingly, when you go out for programs, Adeife said something about boldness. People take interest in people who can stand up and talk. I don't know if you have noticed. I know you like to be calm and cultured and collected, but I hope that you can speak where your helper is. Right? There is a day you need to pitch your idea, but the way you pitch it is by standing up to ask questions about your idea. Also, I have this idea, but there is a problem I have with the idea. So the person knows you have the idea. That's good. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Questions and answers.
Thank you so much. You can clap. We can. I think anybody that is not clapping, maybe I'll collect money from them because they have given you so much. Let's appreciate these wonderful people. You will owe me money, sir. You will owe me money. You're not clapping for the people. $10 million. So thank you so much. And yeah, we can start passing the questions. So I think just like they said, if peradventure you find yourself in a setting, even if it's a church, try and serve. You see, like Adeife said, you don't know the potentials that you have inside of you. There are still bigger versions of you. There are still higher versions of you. And there are things that you will not unlock. You never know that you can do them until you start serving. Yeah, sometimes when I walk close door with a couple of people, and they're like, maybe we have meetings to plan or something else, and you are just in that proximity, we are planning things together, and then they see that you can do this thing. Prior to that time, when they look at you, like for instance, someone like me has a reputation in view that if you want to pray, one person that can be very hard on you. But there are other things you may not be able to find out. Thank you. All right. There are other things you may not be able to find out except you work closely with people. And trust me, I think it was Play that said something that when God wants to lift you, when God wants to bless you, he sends some set of people to be around. He sends some set of people to be around your corner at that particular season of your life. And many times those people are behind the scenes watching, but they are always around you. They are behind, and God always plants them there. If you are actively serving in that community, you will be noticed by them. They are there. They are there. They are sent by God, but they don't have your names in their minds. Even they don't know that they are there on a mission. But when God is actually planning to do something, give you a shift, he brings you in contact with relationships, because we are in a world of men. And the moment you begin to serve, the moment you begin to offer what you, and like Tolulope said, for some of us, you don't even actually need to know that this is what you can do. Just come and say, what can I do for you? How can I make your life easier? It will do us a whole lot of good. Let me just read the questions, and Pastor Emmanuel. Oh my goodness. We wrote epistles. So this is what we are going to do. So my three panelists, I want us to pay attention, because some of these questions we really need to run because of time. Some of these questions we may need to compress them. Maybe some may relate to each other. So I will just read the three questions, and probably we can pick one or two things and answer. I'll give us the See, the organizer. No, this is long. If I share the question, you might have. Let me read it. So the first person. Let me put this person's question last. So Ebenezer Tomoye, you should actually have put your name. You're asking a question. Okay. Ebenezer Tomoye says, in keeping relationships with your mentors, what are the do-nots? This is a very tricky one. Okay. What are the do-nots? Number two, how does respect play in learning from people experienced or older than you? We get that.
Let me just quickly answer that.
Okay.
Number one, do not ask for money. Do not ask for money. Like the relationship with money is, if we are not close, like on our how close we are, money is a way people can easily. Let me use the Yoruba word. Do you get? And you don't want to reduce the way someone sees you as a person. And you don't want to be the person that anytime you see the person call, you say, yeah, we go again. Right? Focus on what you can give more than what you can get.
And what brought you there?
And what brought you there in the first place? And the second thing is, you can be in close proximity. For instance, I have Apostle Emmanuel Areo's number, but I've never called him. Most of the time, is the one always calling me. You get, I have access to him. But even last year, when I felt like I wanted him to pray for me, specifically on my birthday, when my birthday fell to a boot camp, guess what? I had to go through Pastor Bisola, who is the CEO, and say, will Pastor be free to pray for me at night because it was my birthday? Do you get? And she was not even in the camp to facilitate that. And it was not later that Lady Dawn, pastor, like wife of the pastor of Ibadan Church, was telling me that we are both begging me that she was looking for me when she wanted to go and see Pastor to pray for us. Guess what? The next day, Pastor was in partisan session. He said, "Those of you that your birthday falls to the boot camp, come out." Sorted. Do you understand? So, like, I have never in my life met him and knelt down and said, "Pastor, pray for me." Even when I have extended calls in his office, or when I go to his office to see him. So never, like, guide your relationships as egg. Like, I also was telling you something, just to wrap up. My brother told me, "Adeife, I'm looking for a place to do my IT. Do this." He said, you know this person, you do something for me. I said, "Adeife," I said, "Adeife, I have my friendships with people are like cards. I just have one card to play, and I will never play it until I feel it is next. So even if it is 2 months into your internship, if I don't see the right to play that card, I will not play it." And what did I do? Someone I met, one of my close friends in church, she was talking with the person she was staying with, and we were just listening. I said, she's a student, and she's doing an IT in Ernest and Young. And I said, "How are you doing IT in that kind of place? You must know someone inside." I did not ask her that one. She just told me that her mom is the HR lead at Ernest and Young. Guess what? I did not ask her for help until 2 months later. So even if you have access, you must be really calculative before you play your cards. Because once you play that card, you won't be able to play it again. You don't play it and say, "Send me 5K. I want to."
All right. Thank you very much. Please, don't be entitled. Don't carry that thing on your face that when people see you in their mind, and all in the name of you have a mentor that has a big name and is rich enough. Next question: how do you help a mentee unshame a particular act when you know it will help him or her grow faster? For example, a mentee needs to be on stage. A mentee who needs to be on stage will always say, "I cannot go. Please tell this other person to do it." How do you help that kind of person? The person needs to unshame. But the person likes standing behind scenes, but you feel that the person needs it. So how do you help the person? Anyone with the answer can go.
All right. Let me say a little bit about that. I served in a leadership position once where it was very important for me to make sure that people were on the spot. I was a prayer secretary of a church, and when you know prayer unit members, many of them don't want to go off stage to go and lead prayers, except for people who know they have something to offer. Do you understand what I mean? So many of them, you have to hold their hands and tell them that your spirit is following them sometimes. But that's not what I'm saying, right? But interestingly, encouragement does help. To have them over time do series of learning that they can now practice is a very good approach in my opinion. And how do I mean? So for example, if I see that you are a very shy person or you don't like to stay on the spot, start at a very small place. During unit meeting, talk. What did you get from this? So if there is a round set up and at least you can talk among friends. And even if you can't do that, whenever everyone is saying something, compel everybody to say something. And gradually, the person can talk comfortably in that circle. But then, push it a little bit further. Because you have to make sure that you also are on that journey with them as a mentor. Ensuring that every step of the way, you are able to encourage them to take the next leap. Because taking the next leap can be very scary. especially when people feel like they don't know what they are doing. But if they have prior education, which is something that you also incite them to do. So, for example, you are having them watch public speaking or communicate, how to communicate. You're having them read books on those kinds of things. Now, give them opportunity to practice the things they've learned. So, for example, now you will see that Pastor will have opportunity to tell life school students to come and do some things in front of you. And the reason is because they have learned some things during school. That's the problem with Nigerian schooling or education system. Theory, no practical. Right? Practical. And it's the same thing with us, because many times, the first time many of us defended was IT defense. Right? And so we don't know how to stand in front of people and talk to people. But now, maybe from your church, I did my MNG final a few days ago. I did not use a slide. I did my slide, but Nigeria did this thing, there was no light. So I had to defend without my slide.
That's nice.
When I was done, the person said, "Oh, you did excellent." I said, "I've been preaching for a long time. Yeah. I can tell you everything that is in my book without looking at my book." And it's because of experience, mastery. But it didn't start like that. I started talking at a very young age. But not everyone has that opportunity. But for people who do not have the opportunity, it is not too late to take the first step. Yeah. And taking the first step means that you walk up to somebody, tell the person you need help in this area. Yeah. Somebody you know is good in that area. Open up. And sometimes you don't even want to open up, but you see that somebody is pushing you. You say, push yourself. And if somebody is pushing you, I know somebody that throughout my entire period of trying to make them talk, 2 years after, they still can't talk. But there are people in that place. I set them up every single service. I would practically leave the Southgate Church, because Southgate Church was the more popular church, and I'll go to Northgate Church, and I'll call him from Northgate Church and say, I will not be coming to church, or you are preaching today. Somebody who did not prepare. So the next time I heard, it was a national president. Somebody who did not prepare. So he learns to stay prepared because he had those kinds of push. So sometimes you need to tell people, this is what you need. Give them opportunity to practice. Thank you.
All right. So a summary of what he said: make the person identify that they have a problem in that area and walk them through gradual steps to bring them out there. Thank you very much, Oluwole. Next question, and please, I would like us to kind of be faster. Okay, Pastor Emmanuel, you help us with this. What are the proven ways of picking or choosing a mentor in your field? I think that question has been answered. If you listen to everything that we said, okay, Pastor Emmanuel, maybe something you want to react with, but I think, all right, sorry. If this session is going to be available, so you can listen again. It was Tolulope that answered that question. That when you are picking a mentor, there is something that you have. There's something that there's something that connects the both of you. One. The second is that there is something that the person has that you need. Then the third is that there is something that the person has that you don't even know that you need, but working with the person will get to connect on that level. So if you check that and probably listen and re-listen again, you'll find answer to that question. Thank you very much. So for this last person, it's a long one. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing your story. I'm a data analyst, and I have the introductory knowledge and intermediate knowledge. I have taken a lot of courses during my undergraduate studies, but I am not consistent. I thought it was due to my academic engagement, but recently after graduation, I am still not consistent. So the person has two questions from this. How do I maintain consistency? The person wants Mr. Adeife to answer that question. Then number two, how can I push myself to improve my skill effectively? Pastor Areo is helping us with that question. How can I push myself to improve my skill effectively? So, Adeife, your question is, how do I maintain consistency?
You are never going to be less busy again. So, that's why I said I wasted a lot of time in school. Because when you graduate and you now go to NYC, that's going to be the freest time you'll ever be. So you have enough time to go for CDS, and those of us that were Corona coppers, we were having something like receiving monthly allowance, so we cannot say Nigeria is bad because because we know any work. Well, we're taking our own national cake. But more importantly, the problem is that when you don't start early, you are going to pay for that free time that you have. So when you start working, the problem in Nigeria right now is most of us, we are so busy with work, and so we are busy surviving. So we don't have enough time to learn and build what will keep us at it. And so I started something recently, and it cuts across every part of our life, even our spiritual life. I did not know that I could have, and when I tell people that this is also amount of time I pray every day after a long day of work in Lagos, they say, how are you doing it? Because I know my life depends on it. So I'm not the one that would say, I believe that consistency, some people will learn from when the after effect has happened for us. So we are trying to correct it, and so we are learning from our mistakes. But a better way to build a good habit is to build it when there are no side effects of not having that habit. So, for instance, someone that is struggling with addiction to pornography, for instance, to stop that addiction is a lot of spiritual habit work, sanctification, and but to not even watch it in the first place, it's easy. So and that's why I said the way to stop bad habits is to stop bad habits, to have good habits. But the first way is just have the good habits. So the reason I'm saying this is when you now have rent to pay and you have 2 square meal to feed, and you have clothes to buy, and you say you want to buy sneakers, and you want to have a lifestyle, it is hard to now say, I want to study for 5 hours. You would rather get a job that will pay you 400k rather than sit and study. Because the time you will have used to study, you will have used to make money. So right now is the place to sit down. Do you notice it's hard to study, but it's easy for you to sit down and watch a 2 hours Champions League match?
Yeah.
It is hard to study, but it's easy for you to go and watch that Korean movie and watch series. Today, I can't remember the last time I sat down with Netflix. I have the money to subscribe. I have the money to I have the money to buy a big TV in my house. And as I'm coming for work, I'll just sit down and let it. Funny enough, I live in a house where my housemate pays light bills, where I take other bills, and I have light. In fact, I have light more abundantly. But guess what? If you come into my house and you see me on my laptop, I am either working or preparing for my next certification exam or watching a sermon. In fact, the way I relax these days is watching sermon.
Yeah.
That is why when you check my Spotify rap, Build is number 1. Because you see that series about destiny. I have listened to that series so much. I will listen to it again. All those series, even the old one series on, I listen to it every time.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that Build even came up on my Spotify because I felt I spent more time studying the epistles more this year. So I expected that podcast that I was using to study the epistles to be more. But guess what? Because from January to March, I was doing to Build almost every day, like 3 sermons. You see, I play number one. So I'm telling you, like, the only way to build that habit is to stick at it. And if you are the kind of person that novel that is not even helping your life, Netflix that is not helping your life, social media that is not helping your life, you are always there. You are losing quality time. And you must channel it painfully. And to wrap it up, one thing I started doing that built my study habit now, I have light in my house, so I have enough reasons to work from home because I also work from home. But guess what? Every day, I will carry my laptop, enter bus, and go to a workstation that has another monitor where I can work to increase my productivity. So you must get to a point where you say, my life must not spoil. There is hunger in the land.
All right, so let me just add a bit to that. Thank you very much. Let me just add a bit to that. So there are three things that person must take note of. There is the what to do about your situation. There is the how to do about your situation, and there is the why. And like Busi Tembekwa will always say, the why is the greatest reason. The what is, how do I fix this? What do I need to do to fix this? Now you are going on the data analytics course. There is the how to do it, which is the what is, you realize that you need to increase, then you go in search of the data analytics course. The how is the exact knowledge that you are learning, but the why will always be the motivation. The why is what gives birth to the greatest the greatest level of consistency. When you wake up in the morning, that why dawns on you. And sometimes you need to paste that why on your wall. You need to keep, like the scripture will say, write the vision and make it plain, so that anybody that reads it will be able to run with it. Let people, I try to also build that environment around myself where if people enter into my room, they start asking me questions that this thing that is here, why is this and this and this here? And sometimes they can take inspiration from that. The culture is just to ensure that your why is always before you, because that will give birth to your greatest motivation. Thank you very much. So, Emmanuel, the question is, how do I push myself to improve my skill effectively? That's the last question.
So what I would say first is, transformation is hard without a reference. You need to I think we know how to compare ourselves to people behind us and people in front of us many times. Because comparing yourself to people behind you makes you feel like you're better. But comparing yourself with someone in front of you will always make you feel like there is a lot to do. There is a lot more to do. So that would be my number one. And what I also said about looking for a mentor, putting yourself in that environment. I will not forget 2021. I spent hours watching this documentary of Elevation Church. This is how we changed our world. This was 5 years after the church started. Funny enough, the man did not receive an invitation to start the church. We used to receive 18-hour vision and 24-hour vision to start the church. The man just felt like, these young people in my community are wasting time. Let's gather someone together and do something. And 5 years later, they are saying this is how we change our world. Watching that, putting that in front of you constantly, puts you under a healthy pressure to make progress. So I would say, find a reference and keep listening. That would be the biggest thing that I would say, because I don't know if motivational videos work for you. I don't know, because I don't think it works for me. I don't know. Maybe some people, it works for them when you're jogging and say, you are the man. Look to your mirror. So it doesn't work for me. I don't even think I've tried it before. So I would say, find a reference. I think when you keep listening to people that are ahead of you, it's like when you keep listening to people like that, it's like you enter a new friend group. And social media helps us with that, right? You can hang around your friends and then just talk the normal way that you talk. And maybe you hang around with different set of friends for like 1 week. And you're like, what is happening to these young people? Yeah. Social media helps you to be able to put yourself in that environment. Just imagine from Mike Todd to his former social media guy, to Ruslan, Jordan Peterson, Jonathan Paggio,
as you continue to listen like Ben Shapiro, you're just like, I'm the dullest guy in the room right now. Like, I am the dullest guy in this room that I just left. Room that is virtual, but I just left. I'm the dullest guy in the room. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. I think that will motivate you, right? So that's going to be what.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for everything that we have shared. And yeah, we can clap. It has been so educative, so informative. No, I'm sorry, we can't take your question anymore. But what you can do for me is to put that question down. We are going to ensure to glean answers from the panel, so the person you get a full response to your question. I'll ensure to take it to them. You see me at the back after this session, so just write your question and give it to me. Yeah. So thank you very much. I want us to go on with this exercise. Identify an area. I want us to, okay, yeah. After now is the graduation of life school. Life school students, can you wave? All right. So I want us to go on with this exercise. Ensure that you identify a particular area in your life that you want to get better at, and find a reference point. Like Pastor Emmanuel said, transformation is hard. He always says that in a lot. Transformation is always difficult without a reference point. So identify that area in your life that needs an improvement, and ensure that you find people in that area that you can learn and glean wisdom from. May God help us in Jesus' name. So this was put together by Build in partnership with Gold. We host a podcast. We host a podcast, the Rebuild podcast, where, and you can probably scan our QR code to take us to those conversations like this that will help you build yourself. We specialize a lot in youth development, and it's for this reason that we also hold podcasts like this that can help you improve yourself. So thank you all so much for being a part of this, and on to the next graduation. Thank you so much.